Hey y'all, welcome back to Weekly Hyperfixations. If you're new here, I'm Riot, and every week I kind of just go through anything that my little ADHD brain focuses on each week in order to, almost as an experiment, track trends and, I suppose for lack of better terms, history. Let's get into it. As you may notice, I got a little silly when doing my makeup today because I remembered that it is finally June and it is Pride Month. Thank goodness. And it's very hot outside, so that's always fun. We've got mostly silly, goofy things this week. Nothing like crazy negative this week, which is really nice. So let's just get into it. The movies Obsession and The Backrooms have been doing extremely well. And the director of Obsession is 26 years old, so a year older than me. And the director of The Backrooms is 20, which is crazy. But it's also really nice because it's proving that Hollywood does need to be listening to functionally up-and-coming talent in terms of directors and filmmakers, and not just with actors. So that's really, really nice to see, especially since both films are receiving acclaim at the moment. Let's see. The Minecraft Live happened at a TwitchCon. I want to say the one in Europe? I don't quite remember, but I think it might have been Copenhagen. But a lot of things talked about at Minecraft Live. Of course, they did address the title for the second Minecraft movie. They're calling it Minecraft Squared, which honestly, definitely preferable to some of the jokes people were making online. They also showed a clip of one of the newer actors. I can't quite remember his name, but it's Matt something, I think. He was in, I can't remember what that show about vampires was called, but he was in that. And they highly implied that he's actually Steve, not Jack Black. So a lot of people are theorizing that the reason he was hamming it up so much in the first movie is because it's not actually him. Because apparently the end credit scene of the original Minecraft movie had his eyes turning white, which would make him Herobrine instead. And the little teaser we got from that actor seemed to imply that he's actually Steve, not Jack Black, which is very interesting because that also means that they're taking it from an angle where all of the protagonists have only met a character who is known as an antagonist, which is really interesting to me. And I do hope they're going that route because that would definitely be more interesting than just having multiple people who happen to be Steve. You know what I mean? I hope they don't like necessarily go with like, oh, there's multiple Steves and they're like clones or something, because clones are a little hard to do in movies a lot of the time, and I'd be really worried if they tried to do it here. Sorry. Let's see. They also, oh my gosh, y'all, they made a biome just for me. They announced that for the update later this year, Minecraft is going to be putting out a new biome with new structures, new wood, and new blocks. They are making the Dappled Forest, which is a very fall-colored biome. They use poplar trees as the tree type there, so we get a new wood type. It's kind of a warm gray tone, which is really nice. We also get some red bushes that do not change color depending on biome, unlike some plants, which is really nice that you can keep that more warm toned color. I'm hoping the poplar trees also stay, you know, yellow, orange, or red. There is also a new structure that's an abandoned campsite. And for this, they have made wool slabs and wool stairs, which is huge for people who like to build. In particular, I realized it would make it really easy to make colorful statues of things, which will be really nice. Also, it's really been, it would be really useful to have that for making like marketplaces and stuff like that. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm really hoping that they maybe incorporate fallen piles of leaves, which is something that several mod packs have that I think would be really interesting as like a decor choice. I do hope we get a couple more plants as well. In particular, maybe some new mushrooms. This is a little silly thing that I wanted to point out. Discord announced that they were going to be introducing a spatial audio thing for like voice channels. So like you hop into a VC with someone and you can make it sound like the person, your friend, is standing right next to you, basically. But it immediately made me think, and a couple of other people on Twitter pointed it out too. But the image they showed was like, you know, single person, and then, you know, and then everyone else in the chat. And the formation immediately reminded me of Organization 13 from Kingdom Hearts, which was really funny to think about. And I just wanted to share that because that was silly goofy. And then this is something really interesting. Apparently, we're nearing the World Cup for football or soccer. And IShowSpeed, the extremely popular streamer, has been spending most of his year visiting and interacting with other cultures and just learning more, hands-on learning, going to places and learning about them. And he just released a song that he made inspired by the World Cup called Champions. And the little bit I've heard of it, it's actually quite good. Which I wasn't expecting because I know IShowSpeed as more of a streamer. I don't watch him, but like that's kind of my knowledge of him. So I was surprised to find that like, oh, there's this creator has a talent I wasn't aware of, kind of thing. But apparently FIFA is genuinely reaching out to IShowSpeed to make it official for the World Cup. So that would be awesome, actually, because genuinely, it feels almost like disingenuous to pick any other song, because this man really is living through the experience of like what the World Cup was originally intended for. Not just a competition, but as a gathering of people, kind of like the Olympics. So that's fun to see. Now, before I speak on the pyramid, for this week, I do want to talk about the SMP that I mentioned I was on. If you weren't here, last time, I announced that I was going to be on the Legacies SMP, which is very fun. It's a very fun concept. It's a bunch of characters die, and they are ripped from their time periods and thrown into what is called the World Sphere. It's a bunch of floating islands from different places and times, basically. And that's without putting too much into what I've learned of lore, of the overarching lore. That it's a really cool concept in general. The character I'm playing is from 425 BC. So my character, as far as I'm aware, is from the furthest back in time by like at least 1,000 years, which is crazy. And there's people as far forward as 3,000. So that in general is very interesting. It's also very entertaining to, while in character, have people explain things like robots and astronauts, because my character would have no idea what that is. I had to, you know, the entire concept of humans going into space was crazy for my character and things like that. And I had a very, a bigger lore moment yesterday where a character that generally mine has really, really butt heads with, because that character is designed to be an asshole. There was a moment where she was putting down others whom my character knew had very low opinions of themselves, shall we say. So my character heard her putting that character down, and then that character had the audacity to call mine darling, like a pet name, and my character almost snapped. And then the second that was about to happen, the other character killed mine, which in this world sphere, that death is inconsequential. Okay. Even, you know, if we're talking mechanics of how Minecraft works, even, keep inventory is on as well. However, I immediately knew that most characters have pretty good perceptions of mine, except for this one woman. So when she killed my character, I basically like did a death loop 8 times and then disappeared, basically. And from what I can tell, that whole situation greatly impacted how some people who were on the fence about this woman, even though she's an asshole, some people were still on the fence. Their characters were on the fence. Some of those people have outright decided that she's mean now. So I was successful with my intent of, maybe if I make it seem like my character is immediately having a hard time after that, it will greater impact how people view her. And fun fact, I can say it in this recording because I don't know whether or not I will be in lore later. And if I am, pretty big change is about to happen, actually. My character died due to head trauma originally. So I considered, when meeting other characters, I found out that my character was one of the very few characters, and there's like 40 of us, but out of like, 45 people, only 3 of us don't seem to know how we died or if we even died. Some characters who are a bit more cocky don't seem to admit that they've died. My character has assumed they've died based on everyone else in this strange place. That was a common factor, so that must have been what happened. But my character can't remember what happened at all. They remember like the morning of that day, but they do not remember the afternoon at all. And they've got some memory gap. So I thought it would be very interesting to transition my character into the yellow eye color. They had green eyes, then now they have yellow eyes. If the situation worsens, I will give them red eyes, kind of thing. Literally stop lighting. And I and I'm double checking on approval for it, but I'm considering that because my character seems to have an issue with dying and then not remembering stuff, I'm going to have my character in the next time I'm in lore, my character will have no idea who that lady is. Sorry, I've never met you before. Who are you? Kind of thing. To increase the weight of the impact of the action, basically. I think that would be more interesting, especially for viewers, because I feel like it'll push forward how people feel about the character that killed mine. And I think it might develop relationships between characters a little, or cause contention in other places. It seems like a fairly good move. I'm also going to have it so that now, originally I thought maybe my character just like can't see her anymore. Like literally physically she could be in front of me and I would have no idea. But I felt that was a bit much. So just forgetting that I've met her and her actions entirely seems like a good move. I'm also curious as to what she will do about it in general. But I think also I'm leaning my character like almost further into their past rather than coming out of it. Almost like backtracking in progress a little, which I think will be fun. Yeah, just wanted to share that with you all because I thought it was really fun and interesting. Honestly, let me know how y'all feel about it. It's a very fun time. I am recording every time I'm interacting with people doing lore on that server, mainly because the C drive of my computer is iffy, so I can't stream the server until that gets fixed. But once it does, hopefully I will be able to stream, which would be super helpful. But if not, I'm hoping to spend time trimming VODs over time so that there is a collection of VODs for that on a separate YouTube channel. I don't want to mess with y'all's notifications or anything, because I promised you I wouldn't flood your notifications, so I'm not going to. But just wanted to fill y'all in on that. It's been really fun. I really like it a lot. It's good to have consistent improv practice, and this is really helping with that, so I'm very happy about it. Also, I'm making so many new friends. Okay. We are gonna move on to the pyramid because I feel like I talked for a really long time about Legacy's SMP, which also I will leave a link to the official Twitter account for Legacy's SMP in the description. The main account will retweet the like live notifications for other people on the server if you'd like to watch something live instead of literally in like a couple months kind of situation. And also all of the character announcements on there have direct links to the Twitter accounts, except for mine. Mine's broke. They put the wrong link in for mine. But that's okay. But any of the content creators in there who stream, you can find all of their accounts in the character announcements. So let's go ahead and move on to the pyramid. This week, the pyramid is literally like 95% Tomodachi life. And then our top spot of the pyramid is an actual person. So first up on the pyramid, and actually this is a Tomodachi life character that was made today, not a joke, is Kinjo. who is an Oni character that I've had for a while. She was originally made as a D&D character, and I just have not had the opportunity to use her. I'm putting a lot of my D&D characters into Tomodachi Life, actually. I need to have my housemate teach me how to do the beaks better, so that I can put all of my D&D characters in, because I have at least 1 or 2 Aarakocra, so they need beaks. But Kinjo, I'm very excited for, because I think a lot of the Miis on the island that I've put her on, which is Yuri Island, so it's all women loving women. That's not true. There's quite a few non-binary people on that island as well, but there's no men on that island, basically. But I put her on Yuri Island, and I'm very excited because I get to, you know, develop this character a little more, even just through the fact that, like, I have to give her quirks and things like that, and decide what her kind of clothing style is and things like that. So I'm very excited. She is on the bottom spot of the pyramid because I just made her, but I did want to include her. Next up on the pyramid is actually a character my housemate made in Tomodachi Life. It is a character from Land of the Lustrous, or Hoseki no Kuni. And that is Ventricosis. In the anime and manga, she's like this beautiful jellyfish creature, and she's literally so pretty. But in Tomodachi Life, she's silly goofy. But because it was summer, finally in Tomodachi Life, I was able to give her the underwater room and things like that. And she's honestly probably one of the more mischievous Miis on that island, because a lot of the Miis are like leaders or visionaries, kind of. There are a lot of blue personalities on this island, not a lot of green. And it's really funny because for some reason, all of these other Miis are getting into fights, and she seems so careful in her interactions, but then any of the dialogue that the game randomizes for her is like really sassy sounding, and it's really, really good. So I'm a big fan of that. Next up on the pyramid is Sage. She is another child of 2 Miis, and she's a very different vibe from the rest of the family. A lot of the other Miis in her family have a little more of like a goth to punk, like somewhere between goth, punk, and alt, with the other 3 in the household. And she, unlike everyone else in the family, she has highlights that are brighter than the rest of her hair, and she's a lot more cheery, I guess. I almost want to take her in the direction of, you know, there's all of the Addams family, and then there's Debbie, who mentally is on the same level, but visually is on a very different spot, you know? And I think I'm going to lean hard into that. So I'm very excited about that. Also, I was surprised that children on my islands are pretty much few and far between. And I think it's because I haven't made sure that everyone on Yuri Island knows everyone else. But that's also just because that takes a lot of time. But I'm very excited to see where Sage goes as a character on my island. And then next up on the pyramid, in the 3rd spot overall, is a Mii that I adopted from the streamer GH Coffee. And that is La Flapina. La Flapina. Wow. Hello. Where am I? La Flapina. I kept her original design. GH Coffee has updated it in the new game, but I kept it the same as it was. And let me tell you, I gave her the fashionista quirk because she was originally a character made within the game America's Next Top Model. So I was like, obviously she has to have the model walk. Sorry. She has to have the model walk. She has to have the fashionista quirk. And I somehow have curated her wardrobe so well that she is never dressed badly, even though she is dressing herself. It is so perfect. And like I really just feel like I nailed it with her. She's really good. And also she's surprisingly the best at calming down a Mii after they've been in a fight. Not when she's in a fight with another character, but when you see a Mii that's angry, you drop another Mii on them to get them to try and calm the other person down. And every single time I've had her do it specifically, it has worked every single time, which is really crazy, honestly. She did almost get divorced with her wife, Rachel, who is actually from the same streamer. She's an alien. I feel like I've talked about Rachel. I love her. But La Filipina must just have this like really good energy because they ended up not getting divorced either. So, yeah, she's just 10 out of 10 stellar right now. Next up on the pyramid is technically two different versions of the same character sharing a slot. I already talked about her in terms of Legacies SMP, but next up on the pyramid is Hyacinth. I have had this character in general for a while, even like past Tomodachi Life. I've had her since probably 2020, maybe 2019, because it was the first character I made when doing Minecraft stuff with friends. And you know, now she's finally seeing the light of day. She's finally getting that fruition. Things are coming to fruition for her as a character, but she's also on my Tomodachi Life island. She used to be married to Kasane Teto, and they got divorced, and honestly, she's having the time of her life, and Kasane Teto is not. So it really worked out. Also, side note, Kasane Teto gets in fights constantly, so clearly Teto's the problem. But I'm really hoping that my Hyacinth Mii on Yuri Island, where all of that occurred, I'm really hoping that they fall in love with another one of my D&D characters, because that'd be really funny. On one of my islands, I did give her a sister, which she did not have before, but I had another OC that was a similar, like, I think I made her as a druid, maybe. So she had similar clothing to some of the depictions of Hyacinth I've done. So I decided to make them siblings because they already both had Greek names. So I gave her a sister as well. So that'll be super fun. Yeah, that's why Hyacinth's on the pyramid. It's my little guy, if you will. Totally based off of a Greek myth, but you know. And then top of the pyramid, I wanted to put Aisho Speed on here. Mainly because, like I mentioned earlier when I was talking about the song he made, genuinely, it is so refreshing to see someone so mainstream and popular go out of their way to make content that's purely just them learning and participating in cultures and getting all of that hands-on learning. That's really important in today's world, basically. And I'm really glad that someone is doing that in a way that is getting attention and is popular, because learning is like hated at this point by a lot of people, at least in this country. So I'm glad to see someone who is helping people gain at least a fragment of that spark back. You know what I mean? So that's why Aisho Speed is at the top of the pyramid. And that does cap our entire pyramid for this week. hope y'all have been having a good one. It's hot out there, at least in this hemisphere. But I hope y'all are doing well. Again, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I honestly want to hear y'all's opinions about anything that I've talked about, but certainly about any of the Legacies SMP stuff, because we are only on today's technically day 5 of it being up, and this is a project that's set to last for several months. So I'm curious to what y'all think about that. But either way, I had a good time this week. Always happy to come back and sit down and talk to y'all about what my brain has latched onto, because it's genuinely fun. But I'll see y'all in 2 weeks, same time, same place. I hope y'all had fun. I know I did. And I'll see y'all next time. Have a good couple weeks, y'all, and happy Pride.